do I feel good today. It's a Sunday. It's week 12. It's the end of Thanksgiving weekend. While everybody else is dialing down, we dial up. This is your sports betting brand of record. We like to call it the Early Edge. We are powered, as always, by the almighty SportsLine, the best value in all sports betting, and it's not close. Now, all of the odds here on the Early Edge are provided by our incredible partners, the king of all sports books, BetMGM. Now, Jason in the chat, before I bring in the stars of the show, very interesting. He says, I'm finding it harder and harder to find the link on YouTube for the current or recently aired Early Edge. Don't know why, just saying thank you, coach and crew, for still linking it in X. Guess what I'm going to do, Jason? I'm going to put the link to the show in my bio on X. So if anybody needs it, tell your friends, go to my bio. You can find it there. We're trying for you. But in the new year, if you choose not to watch us on YouTube, you will have other options. That's all I'm going to say. And it's going to be good for all of you. But for the here and the now, we got 10 games to get to in less than 60 minutes to do it. So let's bring in the stars of the show. You know them. You love them. And two of my absolute very best. The counselor of cash, Nejad, is here. And the only man to get a turkey leg on Thanksgiving. AB, how does it feel? You get our 15 seconds, turkey leg boy.
The turkey leg feels phenomenal. But I tell you what, for the sake of the show, am going to step aside for the 15 seconds and use it for this. That comment in the chat, absolutely. YouTube algorithm is all over the place all the time. But there's a bell that everyone needs to select, and it will notify you personally every single time we go live on YouTube. Click that, and you will never have to worry about it again.
AB is our 5-tool player for a reason. Pay attention. Take the notes. We're always looking out for you. So, gentlemen, we have no time to waste. We got to jump right into it. Right now, 6 games, 6 early, 4 at 4 o'clock. So, game number 1, the Saints and the Falcons. The Saints, they're a first-place team. The Falcons are chasing them. 1.5 is the number, according to BetMGM. 41.5 is the total. So, counselor, let me come to you first. This is a battle in the NFC South. The battle for mediocrity. But somebody's got to win this division. Talk to me.
Yeah, this is one of the few games we don't have official plays on. I think it's really hard to read. By the way, Allan Bell, most people don't know this. His surname is actually not Bell. His last name is something different. He dropped that name and added Bell just so he could drop that line about YouTube. That's how committed this guy is as an analyst and a producer. As far as the Saints and Falcons, I don't have much to commit to this game. I mean, listen, the Arthur Smith experience has been a little odd. As much as I want to look at Bijan Robinson props and things of that nature, I'm just not going to go there. Kyle Pitts, Jonnu Smith, they split. I think in terms of a winner and a loser here, I would lean a little bit to the over, and I would also lean to the Saints. Derek Carr, obviously back. We're not going to see Jameis Winston, unfortunately. Obviously, Jameis Winston is super fun to watch with his receivers, but the lean here only is to the Saints. I have a lot of official plays this week. This is not one of them.
And if you want to get any of those, if you're a SportsLine member, you can get all of CS. Just turn on those notifications or go into the game. And AB, I'll tell you this. If you go into the game at SportsLine, then there are 2 different handicappers that are taking the over, and they have reasons for that the Saints and the Falcons have been sneaky over teams. Would you attack the total?
I like that. I agree with Sia. First off, I didn't know where he was going with that Bell joke, but it was obviously phenomenal, as it always is. Now, I agree on the total because I don't really love anything in this game except both teams just kind of need to score points. You look at our man, Derek Carr, 3 straight games. He has completed 70% of his passes, but the big thing is scoring in the red zone. That's really been his issue, but they have Taysom Hill for that, right? So I would expect Taysom Hill, as we go along, keep using him because the Saints will as well. Now, it's also interesting, the last thing that I'll say on this, because we've got better games to get to, is that the Saints are the only team in the NFL right now that currently lead their division with less than a 500 record. So, I mean, that's all you need to know about the NFC South.
It's all about mediocrity, and we're all about family here at the Early Edge. Can you guys do me a favor? We got a brand new person in the chat today. Sean says first time in the chat. Show him some love. Say what up, Sean, because that's what we do here at the Early Edge. Also, where's my man? My man Anderson? There's so many people in the chat now. I can't even keep up. Anyway, he said he loves the show, that we're amazing. You're amazing. But I just can't find the name. Too many of you. That's a good thing for us. Now, AB, you did just lie to the good people. You did. You told them a straight-up, bold-faced lie. You said we have better games to get to. This would not be one of them, however. Steelers and the Bengals.
I didn't know where that was going either.
Steelers are favored by 2.5. The Bengals, of course, now are without Joe Burrow. The total sitting on 36.5. We do have a best bet in this one. See ya? I'm coming right to you, big boy.
Yeah, props. Speaking of not being able to find names, props to somebody in the chat. I'm sure he'll put it in there in a second, but he said something about Jaylen Warren to have 25 plus yards in each half, and it was a pretty good plus number. Well, that is actually pretty consistent with my official play. I have Jaylen Warren over 48.5 rushing yards. I mean, this is one of those situations where Jaylen Warren is clearly the more efficient back than Najee Harris. If you actually look at the efficiency metrics, which I'm not going to list right now, he is literally in the top 5 in some of the major ones, whereas Najee Harris is in like the 30s, the low 30s. And I think with a new offensive coordinator, we're probably going to see maybe a bit of a departure from the split snaps to maybe a 60-40, 65-35 proposition in favor of Jaylen Warren. Here's the good news. Even if he split snaps with Jaylen Warren in rushing attempts with Jaylen Warren, he still likely hits this because he's been so efficient that even on limited carries, 10, 11, 12 carries per game over the last 3 games, he's actually hit this number in like big time. Like it's not even close. So I like Jaylen Warren against a Cincinnati defense that allows a lot in the rushing game. I think we're going to see Pittsburgh probably win this game. I would probably look at them money line, but I really like Jaylen Warren to flash and really to kind of put his stamp on the fact that he is the number 1 running back in this offense.
Jay Butch says, I love when my plays are backed by the counselor. Guess what, Jay Butch? So do I. So do I. All right, AB, let me come to you because when you stare down this game, even though a lot of people say it's a yucky game or I'm not going to watch it or you got quarterbacks that can't play, the Steelers are still very much alive, I guess, as are the Bengals too, in this playoff wild card discussion. How are you looking at this one?
We normally don't use narratives to pick NFL games. College, absolutely, right? These are college kids. They're not paid professionals. A lot of things can happen in their lives. They have school. It's the NFL. These are professional players. If your team stinks, you're playing for a contract, you're playing for money. There's always something to play for in the NFL. That being said, everyone's going to look at the Bengals and their new quarterback, Jake Browning, and rightfully so. He's going to have an extra week of practice here to be fully prepared for this game. But do not forget that throughout the holiday weekend, some news dropped with the Steelers as well. They fired their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. So you have a brand new OC for the Steelers, which Steelers fans have been screaming for forever. And the Steelers, they don't fire people mid-season. That's just not how they operate. So it goes to show you. So I think that you're going to see an uptick in the Steelers offense, both with how Sia knocked it out there, right? But they're going to try and be a little aggressive here. That being said, this is still a division game, and the Steelers need to win it. And there were star players fighting, literally had to be broken apart before the OC was fired. It's been a mess. I love the Steelers today. I think they bring it all together. There's no one better than Mike Tomlin to take all your kids who are fighting and say, look, we're going to focus on our chores in the house and getting things done, because if you make mom mad, you make me mad, and I'm going to bust your heads up. And I think that the Steelers get the job done today. Also, analogy, probably terrible, but that said, Steelers.
Well, it was terrible, but I'll tell you this, you and I might fight. You and I might fight because you just lied to the people again. Two times in the first 10 minutes.
Man, 2 lies before church.
Yeah, right. He just said, counselor, and I quote, the Steelers do not fire people in the middle of a season. That is not true. The last time, 1942. It has happened. It has happened 80 years ago.
Boy, hey, I remember that game. That was a tough one to bet.
It was rough, right?
Yeah,
it was
that
rough.
was tough.
Too many ends around. Go ahead.
By the way, that narrative street lines from AB, I do think that's important, especially when you're pitting the Steelers, who, by the way, like, they still have division hopes. And for the record, if they win this game, they're pretty much in the playoffs. I mean, they'd have to literally lose out to not make the playoffs. So this is a big game for the Steelers. You could say the same about the Bengals. Obviously, they really need to win more than the Steelers, but it's Jake Browning at quarterback. And as competent as I think he is, I think he's pretty good pre-snap. I think he's going to process stuff really well. but there's a reason we haven't really heard of him, and he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years. I watched him play at University of Washington, and he was really a prospect coming out, and you saw him really be flat his entire career at Washington. And I just don't think he's a guy that, again, it's Pittsburgh, so there's not going to be a lot of points scored necessarily, but I don't think he's going to be a guy to generate a lot of offense. So I just think it's a really good spot for the Steelers. In sort of a it pays to watch live tenor here, I think the Steelers are a really good play here.
It tells you real quick. It tells you, look at this game. The Steelers, who already couldn't score points at all, are on the road and favored. That should go to tell you right there.
Hey, boys, I got to tell you, the NFL is not doing me any favors as the next level host of the show. When we live in a universe where Browning, DeVito, Royals are all starting quarterbacks in the NFL in the same week, I've got an issue with that. I've got a big-time issue with that.
Well, don't worry. This next one's going to be fire for you. I know you're fired up.
Why are you ruining my flow? Why are you ruining my flow right here? Game number 3. Oh, my goodness. Panthers and the Titans. I told you, if you're new to this brand, we go through every single game, regardless of the pain. So the Titans are favored by 3.5. Total 36. This is 1-9 against 3-7. It's all about pride, heart, guts. That being said, AB, give me a kicker prop.
So, all right, I'm here in Nashville. I don't know, 5, 6, 7 minutes away from Nissan Stadium. So I'll tell you, the weather's fine. It's like 52 degrees, overcast, no wind. It's going to be a solid day. It's not beautiful, but it's not cold, and there's no wind or anything to worry about. You know that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other, right? It's like the same thing. That's these teams. The Panthers stink. The Titans stink. Young quarterbacks. No real idea where these franchises are going. But the best player on the field today is actually a kicker, and his name is Nick Folk, Mr. Automatic. We're going to take him over 1.5 field goals because Mike Vrabel needs to win this game. He needs to win this game at home, and there are 2 people he could count on. Nick Folk is kicker, all right? Stonehouse is punter. That's it. That's all you got. So I do believe that the Titans are good enough to get down the field, maybe not score touchdowns, but they're good enough to get in Nick Folk range, and this dude is legit. Take him over 1.5 field goals.
Man, I don't even know. I'm going back and forth with AB this morning. He's telling people 2 lies, and now he's telling people the best player on the field's a kicker. Who are you, AB? Who are you? All right, Council, let me come over to you because we like to say, we have a lot of different branded sayings here, but we say when there's a game that may not have an opportunity, that it could be a propertunity. And I believe today is one of those days for this game. Who do you like?
Well, let's clip this segment and make sure we tag Derrick Henry on it, because I promise you the 2 best players on the Tennessee side are not the kicker and the punter. Derrick Henry grabs that top spot in. Granted, maybe the kicker and punter are 2 and 3, maybe D-Hop. Either way, I've got Derrick Henry over 68.5 rushing yards. Listen, this is such a good spot. If you look at the box scores over the last 3 games, you're going to see Derrick Henry really not very efficient at all, not a lot of rushing yards, but a lot of that was game script dependent. And for the record, he was never going up against a rush defense this bad in Carolina. So you get Derrick Henry at home. We're getting a discount on this number because he has been bad pretty much this whole season, but specifically the last few games. I honestly think this number should be like 79.5. That's how good I think Derrick Henry is going to be in this game. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if he gets in the 90, 100 plus range and scores a touchdown or 2. So I really like Derrick Henry across the board, whether it's the prop market in support of a Titans play or in DFS where I'm playing him a ton. Derrick Henry over 68.5 rushing yards is pretty great.
All right.
Would you like a nugget would you like a nugget for the Titans?
Always.
Or next week, or I didn't even look at the schedule, but the next time that the Titans play on the road. Do you remember way back when the Titans went to Green Bay on a Thursday night, won, came back, and their offensive coordinator got a DUI? Do you remember that? You remember that?
Yes.
That was the last time the Titans won a road game. That's how long it's been since the Titans won a road game. Yes. So the next road game, just keep that one in your pocket.
A DUI after a road game. That's hard to do. That's really, really hard to do. All right. That is game number 3. It's not hard to do, Sia?
No, I was shaking my head like it's actually kind of unbelievable. But what is also unbelievable is You set up game 3 with, oh, look at these quarterbacks after the quarterbacks we went through. Well, everybody buckle up because he's about to introduce game 4 and then game 5. And oh my gosh, this is really, it's fascinating.
So glad you set me up for that. Game number 4. The Fighting Baker Mayfields against the Fighting, is it still Gardner Minshew? Is he still the quarterback in Indianapolis? He hasn't been knocked out yet? My God. So the Maestro, is a lot of you people, it's a holiday weekend. We gave a lot of people the weekend off. We didn't have a prop show. Don't expose yourself. We told you 3 days in a row there wouldn't be a prop show. So stop complaining. Stop complaining. We put it in the morning show. Clearly you didn't watch. But the Maestro, who's also on assignment this week, he has the Colts -1.5. So, AB, I'll start with you. It's now 2.5. It's been moving, according to BetMGM. Do you agree with the Maestro?
I agree with him. I would take the Colts here. You look at the Bucs; they've lost 5 of their last 6 games after starting the season 3-1. And if you look at the Colts, they're coming off of a bye week in Week 11. All right, and before that bye week, the previous 2 games, they've allowed 19 points combined total in 2 straight games. The defense is playing solid. Gardner Minshew, he's 11-11 as a starter when he has 1 turnover or fewer, 0-8 when he has more. I think the Colts are going to keep the ball protected, move down the field. If anything, this could be a pretty low-scoring game. I would roll the Colts there. I think the Maestro's right on.
I don't know that we've ever had a worse early slate in the history of the NFL, Counselor. These totals are low. This one actually isn't as low as I would have anticipated at 45. But the Buccaneers, remarkably, are also, as you mentioned, because this is a horrible division, still alive in the playoff discussion if they can win their division. Your thoughts?
So I had a prop here that I was going to submit. The juice became a little bit too much. It was Mike Evans. You know, if you looked at Mike Evans props a couple of days ago, you could have gotten him at 63.5. It was heavily juiced to the over. Now we're looking at like 65.5, still juiced to the over. But I actually think this is a sneaky over game to bet and in DFS. I think it's really interesting. And Mike Evans, I think, is really going to be featured because as good as that Indy defense has been, they're really not good against the pass. And by the way, neither are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as everybody who's watching this show probably knows. So I think guys like Josh Downs, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, even Rashad White in the passing game a little bit, I think all of them could potentially hit their overs. I think this could be a back and forth where we're seeing like a 27-20, 27-23 type game. So I don't have a play on the side. I lean to the over. But again, it pays to watch live. This is going to be happening with shows with me because I'm just going to be generating picks as I talk about them, or picks that I thought I was going to be on that I laid off for whatever reason. But if you can find Mike Evans at 65.5 at decent juice, I like the over there. And you might be able to find it even at 64.5.
It's my favorite hashtag. The hashtag, it pays to watch live. And I'm telling you, in 2 months, I'm telling you right now, you got to pay attention because I keep telling you, what's the word of the day? More. Let that resonate. Pay attention and be ready to go in 2024. Now, we got 4 awful games out of the way. Let's get 5. Because the next game is the Patriots, and we know today because they tweeted out. Shout out to my boy who runs all the social media for the Patriots, one of my best friends in the world. Boy, is he a patient individual because he tweeted out Mac Jones is under center today for the Patriots. He still has his starting job, but it almost feels like an audition. It really, really does. Patriots giving 4.5 according to BetMGM. The total sitting at a robust, can't make it up, 35.5. By the way, how's that 25.5 over that didn't hit sitting on you there, AB?
Unbelievable. Nebraska, what were we doing? We had overtime right there. 20 seconds. Nebraska hadn't completed a pass all game, and for some reason, with 20 seconds in their own territory, act like they got Dan Marino back there and start chucking. Iowa picks off the pass, field goal, walk-off, gone. I mean, shout out to Iowa. There is no one I respect more in terms of spite than Kirk Ferentz. Everyone was on his rear about scoring more points. He said, not listening to you, I'll score fewer points and go to the Big Ten championship. And he said yesterday when Ohio State, Michigan are playing, these 2 doormat programs, they fight to play me. That's what Iowa does around here. So respect to that. Also, this game's going to stink, so really nothing from me. Belichick wins it with defense. There you go.
Hey, see, at least it's not sitting with AB. At least he's over it already.
Yeah. Not upset about that one.
Oh,
so Coach, I had Nebraska in that game, and so I was just as stunned as anybody else. I had Nebraska money line, and what's really worse is the other game I bet this weekend. I think I had 2 losses this weekend, and I think it was the only 2 plays, official plays I had. So I was 0-2 in college football. The other one was Florida plus 6.5 last night. And the only thing they didn't cover is because of a targeting penalty on 3rd and 14, which was a very good penalty. Like the guy crushed him.
Correct.
And all they had to do was just tackle the slide. Like they didn't even have to touch the sliding quarterback. They get the ball back and they guarantee their cover because they were down only, I think, 4 or 5 points at that point. And then you had a Florida player spit on a player to get kicked out, which led to the drive that actually sparked FSU's first touchdown. Just the lack of discipline for some of these college programs. I get it because they're young kids, but you see Ohio State, you see Michigan so buttoned up, no personal foul penalties. They make a tackle, they get back to the huddle. And then you see the UFs and the dumb decisions with the Nebraska teams. And it's like, you understand why the Harbaugh's program and Ohio State are what they are, frankly.
Shout out real quick. Mike Norvell, the head coach of Florida State, after beating Florida last night on the road and having beaten Miami, started his post-game press conference off with Florida State champs.
The handshake between him and the Florida head coach. Yeah, that didn't last very long. That did not last very long. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the most next level analysis on an NFL game that you've ever seen from both of my guys.
That's how exciting this game is.
We literally skipped over an entire game. Go ahead, see.
Well, the one thing I'll say is I think with Mac Jones playing quarterback, it does provide some normalcy, some predictability to some of the skill position players. Demario Douglas would be a guy I would look at. Devontae Parker, I believe, is back in this game. We know Kendrick Bourne is still out. But the reason I didn't even look at Demario Douglas props is because I wasn't sure which quarterback was playing. But with Mac Jones in there, I do expect Demario to get peppered. And I think his receiving yardage prop is pretty low. So it might be a nice over to take a look at.
Yeah, I think you're right. I bet Mac actually plays pretty well today, to be completely honest with you. Yep.
You were an overachiever in school, weren't you, counselor? You were that guy.
Only with things I was passionate about, Coach.
Yeah, it's clear. He always tries to make me and you look bad. Always. It doesn't
Coach, we were the dudes in the back throwing things, passing notes around. Like, yeah, we weren't sitting in the front.
Yeah. So was this other guy. If I was to ask you, give me one name on who would actually find a play in this game as a member of the crew, who would that person be? See ya. Yeah, you in the back.
Buckets.
AB, would you like a guess?
RJ White.
How about EC? EC brought it strong. Saquon Barkley, combo number, 98.5 rushing and receiving yards. Shout out to EC and his Arizona Wildcats, who cast a very easy ticket laying the 13 yesterday. Boy,
EC,
they blew out.
Coach, you're right. We got to give a shout out. EC from the College Football Show hit a plus 720 ace parlay this week. Well done.
How did I not have an obnoxious tweet from him then if he hit that plus 720 parlay?
I know. Also, because of that, look, we can see RJ. My man. Let's go, baby. Good
look
luck.
ahead from the stoic one. 49ers -3 over Dallas. Can't wait for that game, too. By the way, you guys asked for him, and then see you mentioned his name, and look who you just woke up. Our man Buckets is now in the chat. The international break is over. You have any questions for him, put them into the chat. He will answer them for you in real time. So somehow as professionals, we have made it through 5 of the worst games the NFL has on the schedule all year. But there is one. There is one that is going to save us today at 1 o'clock. And it is this next game. And we got picks all over the board. A battle for first place. A battle in the AFC South that we never thought we would have. Several weeks ago, gentlemen, when Houston laid out Jacksonville 37-17, what did we say? Oh, it's a fluke. Texans, they're horrible. What are we saying now? CJ Stroud, chance for the MVP. Texans offense flying high, scoring over 30 every single week. So here are the numbers according to BetMGM. 1.5, Jacksonville favored on the road. Total 47.5. Love that number too. So, AB, let's start with you because you have two different official plays in this game.
Two different plays indeed. Let's start with, well, they're both fun this time. We're going to take the over 47.5, and I will tell you why. Both of these teams are absolutely in the battle to win the AFC South. The Jaguars clearly ahead right now, but not by too terribly much. So both of these teams need to win this game, and they ain't doing it with defense, Haas. It's going to be with points on the offense. We're in Houston on a fast track in a dome. No weather to worry about. ETN for Jacksonville is going to be running all over the place. CJ Stroud's going to throw for 7,000 yards today. It's going to be a fun game. I absolutely love it. So we're going to take the points here because, again, the win for either team will give them a great shot at hosting a playoff game by winning the AFC South because the Titans and Colts ain't going to do it. But with that, turnovers, baby. We're playing Jags, Texans over 2.5 turnovers as well, -110. These will count as fumbles, interceptions, you name it. The Jaguars, the best defense in the NFL in terms of creating turnovers. They didn't do a whole lot else great. They're not going to stop points or yardage, but they do find picks and fumbles. So we're going to play that. CJ Stroud, again, going to throw it all over the field. And Trevor Lawrence, yeah, he'll throw you some picks, but he'll big time take a sack and drop the ball on the ground. And that's where Houston will find theirs as well. So that's where we're going to just keep it easy. Turnovers. So over 47.5, over 2.5 turnovers.
Yeah, apparently Mike G is listening to you. He's going to ladder the CJ Stroud numbers. Apparently he's playing CJ over 7,000 yards today for today's game. Yeah, really smart call. Good luck. I think you're going to hit that, Mike G, who's, by the way, watching for just the second time ever. Welcome to all your friends. All of you. Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, Chill Will, see ya. Do you like Evan Ingram today for fantasy?
I like him if you're playing the early slate only. On the entire slate, I think he's okay, but I would play guys like Trey McBride ahead of him. But I think he's certainly in the top 3.
Oh, by the way, for those of you who are new today, yeah, one of the best fantasy players in the world, too. That's who my man is. You can ask him anything you want. He will have an answer. So let me come back to you because in the chat, they've been talking about this guy the entire morning. Everybody wants a shot at Tank Dell. Do we like him today?
Yeah, everybody watching this show likes Tank Dell, including the person that's talking right now. I like him over 62.5 receiving yards. Listen, this is just one of those situations where, okay, let's look at CJ Stroud's passing prop. It's 272 yards. It's the highest on the entire slate. And by the way, that includes the games we're about to cover, like the Josh Allen games, the Patrick Mahomes games, Jalen Hurts. He literally is high, like the highest projected yardage quarterback here. And Tank Dell has been his favorite target. Nico Collins has been off the field a couple of times over the last few weeks. But even when Nico Collins was playing, granted, Nico Collins is going to get plenty of targets, but Tank Dell is the down the field threat, and he gets just as many targets as Nico Collins. Specifically, he's gotten 35 targets. I'm talking about Tank Dell over the last 3 games, 35. So I really like Tank Dell over 62.5 receiving yards. I think it's a great matchup because generally you don't run on Jacksonville, you pass against Jacksonville. And even if AB is right that Stroud throws a pick or two, that's even better from a game script standpoint to hammer Tank Dell and even Nico Collins. I almost made 2 plays here with, of course, the official play that I have with Tank Dell, but I almost took Nico Collins. Instead of taking his yardage at about 59.5, I almost took his over 4.5 receptions. Again, coming off an injury, he had 11 targets last week. I believe he caught 7 of them. The only reason I hesitated, and I still like it, by the way, is because I think even though Noah Brown is out, I think Robert Woods is going to get a few more targets than people think. Dalton Schultz is going to get a few more targets than people think. So I preferred to just go with the Tank Dell yardage. But again, if you like Nico Collins, I'm just telling you, I like his over 4.5 receptions as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. I think AB is spot on. And when you have shootouts, especially for this Texas team, they have several players. If you go back and look at their box scores that have 4, 5, 6 catches, 40, 50, 60 yards. They have multiple guys, just like Sia just said.
Let me say real quick, for anyone who, of what you just said, right? All of us, like we all think that this is going to be high-scoring game. A ton of prop yardage to be had from guys like Tank, guys like CJ Stroud, ETN, Trevor Lawrence. Like, if you think that, which we all clearly do, and if you want to hedge yourself and give yourself just a little bit of a hedge, play the over in punts in this game. It's set at 7.5, very, very low. So that would be the one thing if all of these, yardage and things just don't come through, they'll punt it 17 times in this game. So if you want to give yourself a little bit of a hedge, play it. 7.5 is super, super low.
And there's going to be those 2 or 3 guys out there or ladies, and they'll be, that's a boring. The one place they don't ever say that's a boring prop?
The pay window.
They never say it there. They just give you your money. That's what they do. By the way, real quick, any Jacksonville wide receivers that maybe people can take a look at? See ya?
Well, we mentioned Evan Ingram, who kind of plays like a wide receiver. But listen, Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk are definitely in play. Of those two, I prefer Christian Kirk. I will say Zay Jones is back too. That complicates things a little bit. But Christian Kirk would be my favorite. Evan Ingram second, Calvin Ridley third, then Zay Jones.
Boom. Hashtag it pays to watch live. By the way, EC, from our Friday show, if you're watching, excuse me, he does have CJ Stroud over 271.5 passing yards. That one almost seems like we're stealing money. The only way that doesn't hit is if they get off to a super, super, super slow start. That's the only way that this doesn't hit today. Now, you're all asking questions. Where do we make these bets? Well, we have told you, and you've responded in resounding fashion. I can't even tell you what we have on board for 2024. But right now, we're still collecting new BetMGM customers. They can sign up today, get $200 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive $200 instantly in bonus bets, regardless of your wager's outcome, with bonus code EDGE200. That is bonus code EDGE200. All right, so we have just crossed the bottom of the hour, 12:30 in the east, 9:30 in the west, where I am currently sitting. Here is the official best bets from the early slate of games, and take them with a grain of salt. Be very cautious. 5 of these 6 games absolutely stink. And you guys know me. I hate negativity, but I'm just being real. I'm just being honest. Now, the late slate, however, much different. So, first late game, 2 teams that now all of a sudden, they're very much alive in the discussion for the playoffs. The Browns currently hold the number 1 spot in the wild card. How about that? And they no longer have Deshaun Watson. So they're going to move forward with a different quarterback. So they go on the road to take on Denver today. Broncos favored by just 1.5. Total 37.5. So, Sia, let me come to you first. Because this could really be a battle, almost like a stalemate for 60 minutes. Do you agree?
I completely agree, which is why I put the official play on the SportsLine app, the under 37 here. It's 37.5. It looks like at BetMGM, even better, because then you're going to cash that 20-17 play. But honestly, I think we're looking at like a 16-13, a 20-13 game here. And I think whoever takes the lead, whenever that happens, and honestly, there's not going to be a lot of scoring, I think you're going to see that team really rest on their defense. And what I mean by that is I think they're going to be even more conservative than they were to start out the game. I think both these offenses are going to be conservative, lean on their defenses, hope it's Russell Wilson or DTR that makes the mistake, and then you basically think you have your win because you have your defense. So whether it's early or whether it's late, I think you're going to see so much just conservative offenses on both sides that I think the under comes in. I don't want to say pretty easily because it's a very low number, but I don't usually take game unders. I don't usually mess with totals. If I'm being perfectly honest, this one jumped out at me.
I can honestly say there's never been an under that's jumped out of me a day in my life. But if you say to play it, damn it, I'm going to play it and just squeeze my stress ball for 3.5 hours until this 20-16 game comes in. Now, let me come to you, AB, because the stoic one, RJ White, on our mega preview when this number was 2.5, and you never know if the number is going to help us or hurt us. It's come back in our direction. He's on the Broncos when it was 2.5. EC's on David Njoku over 38.5 receiving yards. Do you agree with RJ?
I make it a point to never disagree with RJ. Let me say that.
That's a good point.
Absolutely. All right. Sometimes you just need to know who's a little higher up on the corporate chart there. But no,
Smart.
RJ, again, smart dude. I'm not disagreeing with him. I think Sia's absolutely spot on with everything about this game. You look at the Browns, they're only giving up, 270-something yards per game this season. It's the fewest in the NFL through 10 games in years. You look at the Broncos, they've won 4 straight games. In those 4, they've got a plus 11 turnover margin. So they're not turning the ball over. They're forcing other teams to do it. They play slow, methodical, even though Russell Wilson's having a hell of a year if people haven't paid attention. That being said, you can keep me away from everything except what Sia said. I think that's the only way to go about playing this game.
There's a lot of you out there, because we talk about it all the time, that love to bet on every single game. You get very impatient. We do it sometimes too. All you got to do is wait 20 minutes today if you don't want to bet on this game, because 20 minutes after that were 2 really good games, but we do have one more at 4:05 Eastern time.
Real quick, apologies on interrupting your flow for the 9 millionth time today, but I will say this. If you are looking for a prop in this game, Russell Wilson rushing attempts, because the Browns will get after you with that D-line. All right, we know Myles Garrett leads the NFL in sacks and just being frightening as an individual as a whole. Want nothing to do with having to be hit by him. Russell run, man, and they'll flush him out of the pocket. So if you're looking for something, low numbers, keep it simple.
See, I feel like AB got a full night of sleep last night. He got a full
I did. I finally did.
Didn't eat anything. He's got all these Chick-fil-A nuggets.
We ate a lot. Yeah, we had a lot of Chipotle, but yeah, we finally got some sleep. It was nice.
He looks fresh, and I can't say I love it. I'm not going to lie to you.
I actually agree with you. See ya.
I mean, it's tough. Like this is a tough prop game.
All I've got is the Chipotle in my head now. I can't get it out.
Half chicken, half steak. Let's go.
I do the double carne asada. I do the double meat carne asada.
That's a smart play. The key for anyone out there getting Chipotle is to go and pay the 25 cents extra to double wrap tortilla. All right, because they're known for loading up, which is good. But if you have salsas and different things, like, it'll bust through the 1 tortilla. It ain't busted through 2. Pay the 25 cents. I promise you, will change your burrito life.
Wow. We've got a Chipotle expert, and we have a fast food expert that people called – they called Sia a fraud last week. They call him a fraud with his insight on fast food.
The people in the best shape eat more than anyone. Like, I believe what Sia is saying. Protein, food, true. Like, they get calories. Yeah.
Yeah, because they usually work out more than anybody, too. All right. Game number 2 at 4:05. The Rams favorite. This game has gone to 3 now. This just keeps clocking up, just ticking up just a little bit. Arizona, they have Kyler Murray back. He's looked actually pretty decent the first couple of weeks. Total sitting at 45.5. We have 2 official plays. EC is on Matt Prater, over 1.5 field goals. That's from our Friday show. Then the Maestro, he's on the Rams on the money line, -110. Obviously, that's from earlier in the week. So, Sia, let me come to you first. The Rams ticking up to 3 right now. The way they've been playing, yes, they have Matthew Stafford back. He came back last week, but I don't know if they should be favored by 3. Do you?
Yeah, I was surprised this number is 3 at Arizona as well. I mean, I think part of the reason it ticked up is because we got the Cooper Kupp news that it looks like he's healthy. I wonder how healthy he actually is. I mean, it looks like he's going to play. We'll have to wait for the inactives to come out at around probably 3:45 before that 4:25 games, or maybe it's 4:05 game starts. But the long and short of it is, I think I like Puka Nacua because I'm not sure Cooper Kupp is going to be 100%. And I think even if he is, Puka Nacua can get there against this Arizona defense. I'd also be looking at Kyren Williams. As far as Puka, I don't think I'm going to put that prop in. I think I might wait to hear maybe a little bit more news on Cooper Kupp to see if he's limited at all in warmups or something like that. But don't forget, Kyren Williams is coming off IR, and they went ahead and let Darrell Henderson go. And what that tells me is they're very confident that Kyren Williams and Royce Freeman can carry the entire load here. And I think that means Kyren's going to get the lion's share of the carries. If you look at his combo prop, which I looked at earlier, I believe it was like 80.5, which was a touch too high for me, but I do lean that way. I lean Puka's way. And I think Kyren Williams is really sneaky in your DFS lineups if you want to go there.
Hashtag educate, entertain. I'll ask you one very simple question. Do you want to do the work? I didn't think so. Apparently now you've got another nickname, AB. You are the favorite capper's favorite capper. Is now your day. Yeah. Apparently now with Chipotle added to your resume, you can't do any wrong until you give me analysis on this game. What do you got?
I'll tell you what. Let me double wrap this analysis just like our burritos here. I'm going to give you a little stat here. the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, first off, Kyler Murray, since coming back, has rushed for a touchdown in 2 straight games. So understand that one. He's going to run the football. So if you want to look at props with Kyler, go ahead. But here's the kicker. The Cardinals are the second worst third down defense in the NFL, and they are horrible, horrible. What that means is that the Rams will get extra opportunities for passing attempts, passing completions. Now, Matthew Stafford, don't play him in passing yards. This guy has thrown for what? I think under 200 yards in like 2 straight games or something like that. I'm sorry. He's thrown for under 200 yards in back-to-back games this season. He's got 8 straight games with 1 passing touchdown, though, which is nice. That being said, he doesn't throw for a ton of yards, but when you have a team that is giving up third downs over and over and over, you will get additional opportunities. So you could use that whether you like more rush attempts, pass attempts, those type of things. The Rams will have just an uptick of extras with that today.
All right. The nice thing is you have until 4 o'clock to decide if you want to play those. Some books take down their props, 10 or 15 minutes before the game starts. Some do. So make sure you get it in around 3:30 or so if you want to make sure you get them. Counselor, go.
So just so everybody knows, this happens in the primetime games as well, which of course we're going to have a primetime game tonight and a show. But some of the secondary or third tier receivers, the props don't come out for them until like we have all of the information. In other words, you're generally always going to see the main receivers on both sides of the ball and the receiving props and the running backs and so on and so forth. The reason I bring that up is because last night I was looking for Greg Dortch or Rondale Moore props, and they just weren't available anywhere. Literally, no book had them listed. Now I look up on these books and I see Greg Dortch listed at 30.5 receiving yards. I see Rondale Moore at 34.5 receiving yards. I just want to point out that Greg Dortch with Michael Wilson out last week, and he's going to be out this week too. Rondale Moore got a 1 big catch early in the game, but Greg Dortch caught 6 of 8 targets for over 70 yards. Is that going to happen again? I don't think so, but I just want to point this out that Greg Dortch is a part of this offense, and I don't think anybody really thought he would be last week. So whether you're going Rondale Moore or Greg Dortch, it's a toss-up to me, but I lean towards Greg Dortch over 30.5 receiving yards. That is what I wanted to put out there.
So many bonus plays right here in the middle of the show. Man United was up 2-0. I don't know if Buckets was on that play or not, but 2-0 to Man United. Now, these are the 2 best games of the entire day. And, of course, they're the last 2 that we're going to talk about because it is 15 minutes till the top of the hour. You're watching The Early Edge, powered as always by BetMGM and SportsLine. If this was in Kansas City, I would be shocked at this number. They're playing in Vegas, and the Chiefs somehow, who are the worst against the spread team the last 4 or 5 years, are favored by 9 over the Raiders team that's won 2 out of 3 since Antonio Pierce took over, and they're playing at home, the total 42.5. I don't even know what to do with this one, but AB, I know that you have an official play, so let's start with you.
I know exactly what to do with this game. Now, first off, you speak of the Chiefs -9. It was 10.5 just last night. All right. So we've seen it actually drop here, getting value. But here's how you play this game. Patrick Mahomes over 4.5 rush attempts at -130. And I will tell you why. Did you watch the end of that Chiefs-Eagles game? The only man that Patrick Mahomes can trust is Patrick Mahomes. He will run the football, and you're going to see Max Crosby give it a go today. And if he's in there, he will flush Mahomes out of the pocket. So why I like over 4.5 rushing attempts is this. 1, they'll design runs for Patrick Mahomes. Not a many, but we're looking at 4.5. They'll design a couple. Number 2, if he's flushed out of the pocket and if he's buying time back there, which is basically what Patrick Mahomes has done his entire career, he'll run. Number 3, kneel downs count as rush attempts. So if the Chiefs have the ball, kneeling to win the game, as we all assume that they will, first down, second down, third down, out of here. That's 3 rush attempts right there. 4.5, play it.
At least we wouldn't have to sweat it all the way to the end of the game. Oh, no, we would have to sweat it till the end of the game. That's okay. We're here for it. We're gutsy.
He had 6 at halftime against the Eagles. Like,
That's
he
true.
was all over the place.
That's true.
Weirdly, we had to sweat Jalen Hurts. That was the odd part.
Now, I will say this last week that one of the faces on the screen, and I'm not going to say who, had Justin Watson plus 3,000, and we cashed it. I said I wasn't going to say who it was.
Me neither, Coach.
So, well, Justin Watson, even though he dropped the last throw of the game, will he have a good game today? Will Patrick Mahomes trust him? See you, Nejad.
Let's just take a look at what Sia looks like with 5 gems up there. And I wanted to show off the turkey leg, too. Ready to go. Okay, sorry. Back to you.
Hope you have a plan for 6. We got Chargers Ravens tonight, AB. Get to work. All right, so here's the thing. Speaking of getting to work, Justin Watson, 11 targets last week. This is not, to me, this is not an anomaly. This is coming off of the bye week a couple weeks ago and realizing that there's only a few receivers you can count on. And by the way, we've got some receivers that are out for this game. Kadarius Toney, McCole Hardman, Jerick McKinnon, I don't believe is playing in this game. So that's going to narrow the targets even more. I think Rashee Rice, of course, is in play. Travis Kelce, of course, is in play. But you're giving me Justin Watson coming off 11 targets. Yes, he dropped a couple of them, and they were big, big drops. But he was getting open all of the time. And that's what's important when you're a wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're open, Patrick Mahomes is going to throw it to you, even if your name is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. 29.5 is such a low number. At a lot of other books, this is in the 31.5 range. I still like it there as long as the juice isn't crazy. But I think anything sub 32.5, honestly, even sub 33.5, I think is good for Justin Watson, because I think Patrick Mahomes is going to chuck it around a little bit. I think, to your point, Coach, about this line, I think Kansas City is going to cruise personally. I like this at -9. I certainly like it as a teaser as well. But long story short, I think Justin Watson's over is definitely a very solid play, very solid value.
Ian Parker, who may or may not be my partner on PFL World Championships the other night, he says that you're the Kurt Hennig of sports cappers, predicting first touchdown scores. Mr. Perfect. Ian, stop it. Just we're creating monsters here. We're creating monsters. He doesn't need any more to get his very coiffed hair that people always say is perfect too. AB and I are just very, very
Look, it looks like Sia hit the perfect plex on both of our hairlines. So yeah,
it's all perfect until you say he's Mr. Perfect. All right, gentlemen, it is 12:48 in the afternoon. In 12 minutes, the first 6 games will kick off. And then in about 3.5 hours, we have the game of the day. The Bills, very much alive for a wild card spot. They don't want to hear that, but that's where they are. An incredibly tough schedule to finish for them. The Eagles, 9-1, the number 1 seed in the NFC. They have this game at home. So they're laying 3 according to BetMGM. Total is 49. So, AB, let me come to you. Because sometimes when you got 2 kind of powerhouses from 2 different conferences that don't necessarily know each other, that can lead to disruption, chaos, or what?
If this game were being played in Coach's backyard, beautiful Southern California, I would still love playing over 2.5 turnovers in this game. Even better, this game is being played in Philadelphia today outside, and the weather is horrible. There is going to be turnovers all over the board with Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, fumbles, picks, you name it. Because you know why? The Bills have to win this game. They need to win this game badly. Philly coming off of that big win over Kansas City. Obviously, they want to win the game as well, being played at home. But Buffalo has to. So you're going to see an even more aggressive Josh Allen today in the air, on the ground, whatever. It is going to be a mess and a fun mess in this game. I can't wait. Take over 2.5 turnovers.
By the way, they occupy the 4th wild card spot behind Pittsburgh, Houston, and Cleveland. Whoever would have predicted that this season? So see it. Let me come over to you, because there is a very what's the word? Thin, buck 60, doesn't weigh, whatever adjective you want to use. I'm tired of that narrative, because this guy's
Slim Reaper.
There you go. I forgot about this one. The dude's a beast. He's just a beast. That's who he is. He won the Heisman Trophy at Alabama, and he's been cashing ticket after ticket after ticket. Are we going to have it again today?
Yeah, we cashed on him last week. We're going to go Devontae Smith over 55.5 receiving yards. In some places, this is going to be as high as 57.5, 58.5. I like that as well. Anything under 60, I'm definitely down with Devontae Smith. Listen, we know the target share is condensed. This is why I was on him last week. Without Dallas Goedert, it really goes to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown's a little dinged up. I think that had something to do with his low target total last week. Either way, even if A.J. Brown gets his normal target share, so much is going to go to Devontae Smith against this Bills defense that really is like, we know this about the Bills. The reason why they're in this position is because their defense, it's because they're so banged up. So they're going to take some shots at Devontae Smith. This is the type of prop where he can hit this in 2 catches, but I suspect you're going to see maybe 5, 6, 7 catches for Devontae Smith, like the over there. So, as far as the coverage schemes, I do want to point out that they do favor Devontae Smith over A.J. Brown. That doesn't mean Devontae Smith's going to do better than him necessarily, but it's a good matchup for several reasons, not just because Dallas Goedert is out.
It's going to be incredible. Listen to all the information. Hashtag knowledge is power. Hashtag educate and entertain. You got to be ready. This is a big one. All right. Let's throw up that last recap screen, and I'm going to go around. You guys we end these shows a little bit differently. I want to know what's the number one. There's a lot going on today. We're now last weekend in the month of November. We're now on the closing stretches of this regular season. So what's the number one most important thing we need to look for in today's action? Sia, let's start with you.
Well, I know there's some big games at 4:00, but I'm really focused on this Houston game against hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, it's interesting for a lot of reasons. One, it could be the highest total in week 12. But more importantly, I've always thought that the Jacksonville Jaguars are pretenders. I thought they were last year. They barely snuck into the playoffs thanks to some very perfect circumstances when it came to the Tennessee Titans specifically. And then this year, they beat some good teams. They beat some bad teams. And then they got absolutely rocked by the San Francisco 49ers. I think we're going to find out which of these two teams, Houston or Jacksonville, is a pretender. And I think this goes a long way to the playoff race and the division race. And I'm hoping we see more great stuff from CJ Stroud.
I like that a lot. By the way, Don in the chat says, can y'all please talk the Saints and the Falcons? Don, can you please show up at the beginning of the show? Because we talk every single game and have already talked it. You came in late. Can't backtrack for you, big boy. Show up at the start. Turn on your notifications. We're here every single Sunday at noon Eastern and 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, not 12:54 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes it needs to be said. All right, AB, talk to me.
I'll give him one on that one. Derek Carr has thrown 70% completion percentage in back-to-back games. So there you go. If you like completions, that's your man right there. Taysom Hill, if healthy, he'll steal some rushing touchdowns out there. But looking at this one, Bills-Eagles, just talked about it. The Bills, the under, I believe, is hit in 4 straight Bills games, which is weird. And the Eagles aren't scoring as many points as they did last year. Still great, don't get me wrong. But do you know who the best against the spread cover team is in the entire NFL?
No. Texans? Yeah. Texans?
No.
Who?
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh.
They are handling business in regards to hitting numbers against the spread. So I'm fascinated as a bettor to see if that continues, but I'm fascinated to see what this offense looks like against Buffalo and then Buffalo as a whole. You have to win this game. What do you look like being aggressive as hell out there, even more than you normally are?
And I think finally for me, it's going to be about understanding that we've reached the time of the season, gentlemen, as we head into the month of December. We have the haves and the have-nots. On the AFC side, there's no team with less than 3 losses. Lean into teams with motivation. Lean into teams that have things to play for. Don't just blindly say, oh, Panthers stinks. You got to do the homework. You got to do the research and understand where we're at in the season. It's not September anymore. We got to pay attention. All right, a reminder tonight, really good Sunday night game. We got the Ravens and the Chargers. We will be back at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time to break that down with me and the crew and to see that stupid turkey leg for the rest of the season next to AB's name.
I wanted a Black Friday TV so bad to add to
it. So with all that being said, there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Sunday tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, Lamo, Counselor of Cash, Nejad, our 5-tool player, AB. I am simply the coach trying to keep this train on said track. Sometimes it's easier said than done. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's truly what we're all about right here. Have a great day. See you tonight. Early Edge. Good luck.